Welcome back. Hey everyone, I'm Tim Laskus, and you're listening to The Tim Laskus Show, episode 63. How many of you out there have a short attention span? I have my hand up. It is so difficult for me to read a magazine, let alone a book. Man, my attention is like all over the place. I'm picking up sounds and noises that get distracted. I'm finding myself reading the same sentence 4 times before I fully comprehend what the heck did I just read. And that's a problem. But problem solved. Audible. Audible is it's a cool resource. Audible is also a sponsor of the show, and they're offering you a free 30-day trial so that you can check out Audible, which is audiobooks on download. You no longer have to read. You could just listen to it. I can do that because I can plug it in. I can listen while I'm working on a computer, while I'm watching TV, while I'm doing something else, while I'm jogging, while you're cutting the grass, or whatever it is that you're doing. You can listen to a book. One that I recommend is Crush It by Gary Vaynerchuk. Why now is the time to cash in on your passion. So Gary Vaynerchuk has this awesome book. You can get that on Audible. You can get a free 30-day trial. Get this free audiobook just by going to timlaskus.com/resources. Click on Audible. Pick it up today. Go now. Hey, on to today's featured guest, who is Meiyoko Taylor. Meiyoko is an internationally recognized author, entrepreneur, personal development coach, and he's worked with individuals around the globe, showing them how to take charge of their lives, find their passion, unlock their greatness, and all that good stuff. He's just doing incredible work out there, helping entrepreneurs to just lift them up, make them more successful. So you are going to get a lot of great information out of this podcast episode. Enjoy.
The Tim Laskus Show, in search of entrepreneurial gold. Tim digs deep into the minds of his guests, entertaining, down to earth, and informative. Now, here's your host, Tim Laskus.
Welcome, everyone. Today's featured guest is Meiyoko Taylor. Meiyoko, thanks for joining me today.
Pleasure is all mine, Tim.
Hey, you were telling me you live in Jersey and you're a big music or movie. You're into actually movies, right? Movie buff?
Yeah, I'm a movie buff.
You know everything about like who's been in what and who's the director? Are you into that much detail?
Sometimes it just depends on the movie. I'm more so of the actors and the actresses, though.
Got ya. What's a recent movie that just really moved you to recommend people to watch?
I actually saw the new King Arthur movie. I think that is awesome. I've seen so many different King Arthurs that just didn't foot the bill for me. But this one, I will say, is an amazing movie. You need to go see it.
Did it have the gore, the guts,
It had a little bit of that, but I think the storyline was very good. The way they did kept Merlin out of the scenes and put a different mages in there, and just the effects. I think everything was awesome. And Excalibur, the sword, I'm telling you, you got to check it out.
Wow, I'm really behind. I need to get up with my movies, so I'm going to put those on my list. I appreciate you offering those as must see. Now, Meiyoko, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself professionally. What are you currently working on?
I am in the area of personal development. There are a lot of motivational speakers, people that do inspirational things, entrepreneurs, but personal development is near and dear to my heart because it covers every facet. It covers entrepreneurship, it covers business, it covers health and wellness, it covers how you communicate. It just covers so many different areas that I feel that people don't really focus on that is important as a business owner. So that's pretty much my area of expertise, which is personal development. And if you want to narrow it down even further, it's the mindset. So dealing with the mind, I am a NLP practitioner, so I deal with a lot of different things when it comes to the mind, mindset, emotions, habits, things that are very important to get you to the level of high performance as a business owner. Right now, I'm actually putting together a program that focuses on emotional mastery and basically restructuring your internal belief system to perform to your highest potential, no matter what situation occurs in your life, because life does happen. So really learning what emotions are and how to utilize them to be in alignment with your highest level of value that you want to operate in is very, very important, especially as a business owner.
Oh, absolutely. And I wanted to back up a little bit. You mentioned NLP. Can you tell the listeners a little bit about NLP and what that means and what it's all about?
It stands for Neuro Linguistic Programming, which is the study of human excellence and communication. So it deals basically with your emotions, your internal belief systems, your environment, just basically what causes your mind and your brain to operate, your thoughts, your behaviors, your actions. So it develops with it, it pretty much deals with that whole internal system. And it's a lot of different things involved to it. So that's the most simplistic explanation that I have of it. It just deals with so many different areas of the human mind and how that works alongside achievement and development and action and habit and behavior, all those things.
Right. Now, was this what Tony Robbins was also into? A big
Yes,
proponent?
yes, he does a lot of NLP stuff as well.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I thought I
anytime you
had.
hear someone talk about mindset and any type of mindset mastery and affirmations and different things like that, those are forms of NLP.
Got yeah. Now, can you maybe talk a little bit about what is kind of a common theme that you see with some of your coaching clients or people who you work with as far as like mindset issues? What are they struggling with?
Some of them is fear. A lot of them are stuck in a particular um, possible thing that happened growing up, and it's a certain belief that they've adapted. So as they're trying to accomplish particular goals in their business, they're not accomplishing these goals. And what I'll do is I'll sit down and do some exercises to really kind of, it's like an onion. You're peeling that first layer, but there's so much more to go. So I start to peel back that onion a little bit and get to the real reason why. And sometimes it absolutely amazes me. It can be something that they experienced in their childhood. It can be something that along their journey as an entrepreneur, something was said, particular situation happens that just leaves them stuck, and they get this belief that they can, or they're not able, or they won't. And I find that happens oftentimes with a lot of people that I coach. They're just stuck at that particular point where they have to really attack that particular belief that was developed that is causing them not to be able to progress to where they desire to be.
Right, absolutely. And so that really is kind of that hurdle that's keeping them stuck, and so you're able to kind of, like you said, pull back the layers, figure out what it is, and then target that, help them understand why and how that's holding them back, and then they're able to move forward with that. You also mentioned habits. Now, are you seeing that people have just a lot of bad habits, or they don't have enough good habits in place to keep them moving?
Well, I think people need to understand what a habit is, and there's three core components. There's triggers, there's behaviors, and there's rewards. And what people don't understand is that there's a trigger that starts that process of a habit. Our human minds are the greatest computers that will ever exist, period. We will form a habit whether we want to or not. And that's what people really don't realize. You are going to form a habit. If you sit here and do nothing and you sit on your butt all day and you do absolutely nothing, doing nothing becomes a habit. That's how vast we are creatures of habit. So it's important to realize that if you're going to form habits anyway, you might as well form good habits. And sometimes the habits that we have, we don't know that they're being destructive to our futures or in what we want to accomplish. So just to give you an example of a habit, let's say I'm a sports athlete and we just won the Stanley Cup, we won the NBA championship, whatever it is, and that's a trigger for me. That's euphoric. That's that high. I won. I reached the top. So what I may want to do is I want to may indulge in the most expensive champagne possible. I want to go party. I want to go drive my car 100 miles an hour on the freeway because we just won the big game. That's a trigger. So that trigger for me was winning that championship. So the behavior is okay. We're going to start indulging in alcohol and driving fast and indulging in this particular behavior. The reward is okay. It's the feeling that the alcohol gives me. It's the euphoria. It's being around people chanting my name and we're champions now. At the end of the day, you may wake up to something that you didn't actually expect. You can possibly get in a car accident. You can do something that you actually regret doing. And this is what people don't really pay attention to in regards to habits, because some habits are good habits and there's other habits that we develop that have consequences. And once you get into that pattern, that's ingrained in your brain, so you have to particularly break that cycle. So habits are triggers, something that triggers the habit to start to go in motion. And then there's a behavior, which is the action after that trigger. And then there's the reward. Whatever feeling, temporary or permanent, that that habit gives you, that's what's feeding it. So
And
it
then that starts the cycle all over again.
all over again.
Hmm. And then, and it's hard to work with someone who necessarily hasn't had a bad experience, yet everyone on the sidelines goes, "Uh oh, this is a train wreck waiting to happen." And you talked about that athlete, who's out there excessively partying and doing stuff, and it just blows my mind to hear about, some of these professional athletes who are out, at nightclubs at 2 o'clock in the morning with a big group of friends and drinking, and it's like, dude, that is a train wreck waiting
And
to happen.
it's a habit, because that can be a form of celebration that they are accustomed to. So now that they've reached this pinnacle in their career or received this big contract, that's what they know to do. That is a trigger for them to go induce that particular behavior, and their reward is everything that I just mentioned. So that is the vicious cycle that they're in. And sometimes they don't even know that it's a habit until they end up in, alcohol anonymous. They end up in a drug rehabilitation center, and this is the reason why something triggers that particular behavior, and that's hardly ever addressed.
Okay. And do you work with people who have substance abuse issues more specifically?
Not really. More specifically, I've had clients, I've had people that come in and talk about those particular issues. I tell them, look, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not someone that is in a rehabilitation clinic. If you need that, I have the resources to get you there. But surprisingly, in many cases, when we do actually sit down and we work out certain particular problems, what they want to share with me, obviously. Oftentimes, I've had clients that I've really helped with these particular situations when they understand what a habit is. Most people don't understand what a habit is. They understand it's either a good habit or a bad habit. I don't know how the heck to change it. So I'm going to try to do it my way and try to externally do it and force myself to do this and to do that. And it just doesn't work that way.
Right, absolutely. Now, can you provide a couple of tips for some of our listeners out there who are thinking about starting their own journey of being an entrepreneur, or maybe in the beginning stages?
Ah, just two? Okay. All right. So my top two, my first one will be surround yourself with people that push you to be even more successful. I cannot stress this enough. I heard Jim Carrey, and he had a speech, and he said he is always the weakest link in his group, in his circle. And it confused me. And I was like, what does he mean by that? So what he was saying is, even as successful as he is, the other four people in his group, in his top five, push him to the point where he desires to be even more successful. And that is very, very important. If you surround yourself with someone that's not really desiring to achieve anything out of life, that's not driven, that's not trying to succeed, not work on their personal development, you'll eventually become your environment. I'm sure you've heard this. You're as good as the top five people you surround yourself with. I believe that's a little how the quote goes, but that is very, very true. So surround yourself with people that push you to be excellent, push you to become more successful, to challenge yourself, to get out of your comfort zone. Surround yourself with those particular people. And if you don't have anybody like that in your circle now, my suggestion is to just look around you and be aware of your surroundings, or go out and attend networking events. There's networking events all the time. Surround yourself with these people.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that, and that was well said. And I'm glad you talked about, if you don't have anyone, what to do, because a lot of people out there right now that are listening are thinking, well, my family doesn't understand, my friends are bums, they don't understand, I just don't have that network. And you're saying to go out there and find them, make connections, take initiative.
It's funny. Oftentimes, some of the books we read, Tim. Some of the books we read, they have contact information on them, or you can go on somebody's site and subscribe to their newsletter. You would be surprised if you personally email some of these people. A lot of mentors have been found just from reading a book from a particular author. A lot of these people take you under their wing, um, and you form beautiful relationships with people. So there's always a way to enhance your network. You just have to do the extra legwork and really want it bad enough. But you have to change your environment. You really do.
Excellent. No excuses. Awesome. So, what are some other tips that you have?
You have to remove the scarcity mindset. I think that is a huge thing, especially when it comes to the area of money. Being an entrepreneur, you are going to have some financial struggles. That is no question about it. That's part of the journey. And I struggled several years when I first became an entrepreneur, and it wasn't until I read a book by T. Harv Eker. It's called The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. And I've read a lot of different personal development things, but that has actually stuck out. Him and Jim Rohn are people that I've really read a lot of. And one of the things that I've learned is that money is attracted to people who provide high levels of value. Oftentimes we say, I have to do this, do this for my business. I have to call more people. I have to um, emulate what everybody else is doing. If you want more money, you have to become more valuable. And when I realized that, it's almost seemed like money was attracted to me. So I say, as an entrepreneur, focus on your own personal development. I think Jim Rohn has a quote. He says, "Formal education will make you a living, but personal development will make you a fortune." And I truly understand what that means. So the more you work on yourself and can influence your business in that particular way, the more valuable you become and the more money you will make. Money is an exchange for value.
Wow, that's incredible. I mean, you provided a book, T. Harv Eker, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, and those wonderful tips. Now, Miyoko, when did you realize that you had this entrepreneurial spirit, and how did you take it from just okay, I think I want to do it to let me do it?
I think I was always a free spirit, man. I was always thinking of some contraption or new invention I thought that was going to save the universe. I mean, ever since I was a kid. But I think what made me make the first step is because I really didn't fit in to what really seemed to be okay with other people. Like the 9 to 5, the same thing every day, the daily routine to just go to college and work at a job for 30 years and receive a pension, maybe, and receive Social Security and then travel. And I mean, you can hear it in my voice now. I just didn't fit in with with that model. I always knew that I wanted to do something of value that would add value to other people, and I wanted it to be innovative or new or creative, and I wanted to be able to do some of the things I wanted to do when I wanted to do them. I always think there's a way to be creative and innovative to enhance, our modern world. So I always had that particular type of mindset, but it was when I realized that every time I was in a place where what everybody thought was normal or the thing to do, it just bothered me to the core, to where I said, this can't be it. There has to be something else. I feel like I could be more useful and more valuable, contributing in another way. And that's when I realized at that point, like, okay, entrepreneurship is it's almost a lifestyle. It's not almost, it is a lifestyle. And I think when you're truly an entrepreneur, you know it. I mean, it's in your core. It's part of who you are.
Yeah. Well, earlier, you talked about working with people who struggle with fear. What was your fear about going out on your own and being an entrepreneur?
I feared everything. I got to be honest with you. I was at a point in my life, man, where I absolutely feared everything. It was fear of the unknown, um, fear of what if it failed, fear of what if I succeeded, fear of responsibility, all these different types of fears. But it wasn't until I really sat down one day and I said, you know what? And I don't even know why I did this, but I imagined myself being 70 years old in a rocking chair, just looking back on my life and regretting all the things that could have possibly happened. And that scared me to death. because regret is one of those things. That's something that you can, if you're at that age and you're thinking, what if I did this? I could have done this. I should have done this. This could have possibly happened. But now you're at an age where time is not your friend. It's not your ally anymore. And you're just at this point where it's just like you were looking back on your life and none of these things you accomplished and you had the potential to do it. There was really no excuse not to. And I think realizing that really scared me. And that still scares me till this day. I don't ever want to be a person that looks back and says, I did not try this or that, and I did not give it 100%.
So it sounds like it has nothing to do with having fear, being scared. It's how you manage it. Everyone
Yes.
experiences the feeling of being afraid or fearful or feeling of failure. And it's all how you manage it. And it sounds like you managed it very well so that you could continue down that path.
It took some time, and I just want to tell everybody here, you have to understand that you will always have fear. If anybody tells you, "Oh, you can be fear," do not listen to them. You are always going to have some type of level of fear. The only difference is how you manage it. Those same sweaty palms, the heart palpitations, the oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, all that stuff is still going to be there, but it's how you manage it and how you recognize it. Because now I know with some experience, when I'm approached with an opportunity to do something out of my comfort zone, I have the same type of fear, but I know, okay, this is something that is out of my comfort zone. It's uncomfortable, but I have enough experience now to say, ah, I feel you. I know exactly what you're doing. So this is a good sign because it's taking me somewhere higher that I'm not used to being. So you have to
Got it.
really identify why you're afraid.
Absolutely. Now let's move into the dig round, Miyako, and I'm going to ask you three quick questions, and you kind of give me a quick response. What
All
keeps
right.
you motivated?
Well, easy. Knowing that I'm blessed with the opportunity to help so many other people change the direction of their lives in a positive way. So knowing that every day I wake up, there's somebody out there that needs the information that I have. Knowing that I'm blessed with increasing value that has the ability to transform someone else's life, that keeps me motivated.
Yeah, helping others for sure. Now, who do you look up to as a business leader?
I think we kind of covered that. Jim Rohn is a big one. Zig Ziglar and T. Harvey Eker, they were instrumental in really increasing my love for personal development and how to apply personal development to business, to sales, and to entrepreneurship.
Yes. Now, you have to choose one, street smarts or book smarts. Which one for you?
Hmm. I am a big believer in the value of experience. So I think being street smart gives you an incredible competitive edge that you just can't teach. You can't teach that. So as an entrepreneur and a business owner, you have to know how to survive. So, I mean, it can be rough in the beginning, and there will definitely be adversity throughout your journey. Experience teaches you how to deal with that adversity and also how to rise above it. It creates a mental toughness that no book can ever teach you to have. So I'll take Street Smart.
Well said. Love that. Now, you had talked earlier about that fear and kind of being stressed when, you were getting ready to take that leap into entrepreneurship. But since you've been working for yourself, forging your own way, what's been a stressful moment during that journey that you can share with us? And how did you
Okay.
overcome it?
And you kind of set this question up, Tim, early on when you were talking about feeling alone. I think you kind of mentioned that. So when I first decided to embrace being an entrepreneur, it can be a very lonely decision because it's not considered the norm. Even now, it's still not considered the norm. So there are risks, uncertainties, and this is against the normal setup that everyone is accustomed to. So you may not have the support right away from those who are close to you, whether just your parents, your loved ones, anybody that you pretty much value and that are very close in your immediate circle. And it's not because they don't love you, they just don't understand it. It's an element that's completely out of their comfort zone, and you have to understand that. So it was very stressful to me in the beginning because I'm very close to my family. But I had to get to the point where I realized that this was my vision, not anybody else's. It was my journey. So this goes back to having that mental toughness we just talked about. So once I accepted that this was my success story to create and that everyone, they would eventually come around when they were supposed to, then that's when it became easier for me. So I want to tell all those entrepreneurs, once the results are seen by other people, they see the fruits of your labor, you'll gain more support, but the responsibility is on you in the very beginning. So just be prepared because it is your vision. You can't help other people tap into that. That is what being an entrepreneur is all about.
Absolutely. And now looking at, everything that you've done, and you mentioned, being able to help others, is there a specific example you can share with us where somebody was really benefited from your service, and you had that moment where you said, yes, this is why I'm doing it?
I'm going to give you a story. I'm very active on social media. I have a lot of stories from clients that have benefited and their lives have been changed. But I got a social media post from somebody, and she was a teenage girl, and I have no idea who she is, and I wish I could contact her. But she sent me a message, and she said, Mr. Taylor, she says, I just want to thank you. She says, I was thinking about ending my life because I had nothing to live for. She says, but since I followed you and looked at your posts and been on your newsletter, she said, um, I don't know yet what I have to live for, but she says, I do know that it is something. And she said, thank you so much for helping me to realize that. And you saved my life. And
Wow.
I think it's things like that. That particular statement to me is in no comparison of all the clients that I've helped. It's things like that that make you really realize that this is why you have to keep going. This is the struggling that you've gone through led you up until this point. That's why it's worth it.
So, being an entrepreneur for you, it helps yourself, but more so than that, you're helping to change the lives of other people out there who are struggling. And many times, we don't know how that's going to help others, but this young lady certainly reached out to you and just kind of, threw that out there. And I'm sure that must have been just a wonderful just feeling for you.
Absolutely, and that's just being an entrepreneur. So I want people to understand how powerful that is. You have the ability to change someone's life, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, and it's so much more powerful than any money that you'll receive. Yeah, maybe you get a big check every now and then, or very, it's a common factor. But yet, have those people share those stories of how their lives were changed. So much more meaningful than money.
Absolutely, no comparison.
Well, that's wonderful. That's really amazing, Meiyoko. You've been a fantastic guest, and unfortunately we run out of time. But before we go, tell the listeners where they can find you online and on social media.
They can find me online at www.miyokotaylor.com. That's M as in Mary, EIYOKO, Taylor.com. As I said, I'm very active on social media, so you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Meiyoko Taylor, and you can find me on Facebook at official Meiyoko Taylor. So I'm all over social media. I am very interactive. So if you receive a comment from me, it's literally me replying. So I encourage it, and I hope to hear from some of you.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Meiyoko. I appreciate your time being on the show, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Thanks so much, Tim. I had a great time. Talk to you soon.
Take care.
Want more entrepreneurial tips? Go to timlascos.com.